Panels, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a very capitalistic world right now, where the capitalism has increased so much to the point where it is very common for us to see a very big economic gap in the society, where it is normal for us to see some people who are very, very rich, and yet at the same time people who are very, very poor. And we believe that these kind of poor people are the ones that are the most vulnerable actors that we need to protect in this world, ladies and gentlemen. Before I jump into my speech, some few things that I would need to explain from the motion. First of all, what we actually mean by scholarships. Scholarship is basically a program or funding program where you fund the students, paying them so that they're able to get into the educational institution that they needed to and that they wanted to, ladies and gentlemen. Second thing that I would like to explain is that in this motion, what do we mean by financial necessity? Financial necessity, as I explained before, since there are people who are rich and people who are poor, we believe that this kind of poor people who are in poverty, they are the one who we believe actually has the financial necessity to be able to achieve this scholarship, ladies and gentlemen, as they are the one who are literally struggling with their daily life and over more something like education, right, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, what we need to know is that what's going on in the world right now, that this kind of scholarships, as much as a common as it is, what we need to know is that they are merit-based, ladies and gentlemen. What we mean by merit-based, that usually how it is that you take a test and whoever scores the highest in the test will get accepted into that scholarship funding program, and then they are the one who are going to finally be able to get into the educational institution that they chose to, ladies and gentlemen. But the biggest problem with this scholarship program that you need to know is that they usually have a very limited quota. So only the few of the limited those who only accept on the top of that test will only be accepted, ladies and gentlemen. And we believe that is where the problem rises up. Because as I have told you before, how there are people who are very rich and very poor. Why is what we need to know that how hard life is for those who are very poor, how hard it is for them to change for their life to the better, ladies and gentlemen. Because there's something that is known as a structural poverty. Allow me to explain. Imagine it like this. Imagine you being born into a family of poor people, right, ladies and gentlemen. From the moment you are born, you're probably going to get a you're probably going to grow up unhealthy compared to those who are privileged, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't have the financial that you need to actually get the nutrients that you need. So your brain may actually develop in a way that is less effective as those who are privileged, ladies and gentlemen. But going on to that, as you grow on, you're going to start to need to go to school, and the education that you're gonna deserve is going to be very, very less compared to those who are privileged. As those privileged people are able to go to some top tier private school, the only thing that you're able to do is only something like elementary school, and you may not even go up to high school, because what you need to know is that education is something that is very expensive, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, there has been some programs from by the government such as Dana Bus and whatnot, but you need to know even something like Dana Bus, you still need to pay for something such as your school uniform and the books that you need for your school, ladies and gentlemen. In the end of the day, education is something that is undeniably very expensive, and it is something very hard for these people who are in poverty to be able to get this kind of education that they need. And other than that, they usually tend to focus more on their own primary needs, such as food and whatnot, over education. That's why most of them usually ended up dropping out after elementary school, ladies and gentlemen. But what happens after that? After you only get a very low level of education, the only choice of jobs that you're able to get are, of course, are very underpaying jobs, right, ladies and gentlemen? Because if you compare it to those who are more privileged, they're able to go into a top tier job, very paying for them, and will eventually pay them more because of how capitalistic it already is, and because they already have a higher education. But for you, you're only going to an underpaying job because you are unable to get the education that you need to get to a very high paying job. And what's going to happen after that? You're going to stay in poverty as that job is underpaying and it's inconsistent, and it's going to be very hard for you to sustain your life even with that job, ladies and gentlemen. So what happens with this? That you're going to only give birth to more people who are born in poverty, and the cycle will go on and continue on. What this means that in society right now, there's a systematic problem where the rich people are only gonna get more rich and the poor people are only gonna get more poor, and it is very hard for them to change this kind of structural poverty, because it's not that like they are poor not because they are lazy, ladies and gentlemen. They are poor as the effect of this problem in the systematic society that we live in right now. And that is our goal. Our goal is to fix this problem, ladies and gentlemen. And we believe that this kind of scholarship, if we believe that it is going to fix that problem, if we focus more on those who have financial necessity in this kind of scholarship, ladies and gentlemen. Few arguments. Firstly, why is this justified for the government to actually do this? What we need to know first and foremost is the government in itself is a body to cater to the needs of its citizens, right? The government is a body that has a responsibility to cater and fix this kind of poverty that exists in its citizens. It is the government's responsibility to make sure that all of their citizens have an equal life and equal chance in achieving a better and sustainable life in their future, right, ladies and gentlemen? That is why we believe it is, in fact, not only their responsibility, it's very important for the government to do this kind of scholarship program to make sure that they're able to focus on those who are financial necessity, on the financial necessity more. As I've told you before, how very hard it is for this poverty to be able to escape from this, right, ladies and gentlemen? So it is the government's responsibility to fix that, as the government is someone, the only one who has this kind of power just to change how the scholarships are going on in the society right now, ladies and gentlemen. That is government's, and that's all is the government responsibility, and that is why it's justified for the government to actually do this kind of thing. But second argument that I would like to explain to you is why is this the most effective way of actually clearing out this poverty, ladies and gentlemen? Few analyses that I need to make. Firstly, education. We believe that the biggest problem that these people in poverty are facing is the fact that they are unable to get the education that they needed, right? We believe education is something that is very vital for you, enable for you to get a sustainable job in the future, right? It is very vital for you, and especially for this kind of people who are born in poverty, to be able to change their life, to make their life for the better. Because for you to get a good job, a well-paying job for your future, you need a a decent quality education, right, ladies and gentlemen? And we believe that this scholarships program, if we are only able to focus them more on the financial necessity, we believe that this kind of poor people have a big chance, because for people who are in poverty, this kind of scholarship program is their only help of being able to get a social climb in the future, ladies and gentlemen. It is their own is this is the funding that they need, so that they do not need to focus to this basically be able to take care of their burden, and which they can focus on both on their education and their daily needs, right, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that's why it's very effective if we put this kind of scholarship, as it is going to be able to increase the education in the people who are born poor, ladies and gentlemen. But secondly, that I would like to point out is in the current status quo where it's merit based, why merit based doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen? Because what we need to know, yes, merit based does has its own effect benefit where you're able to increase the merit of the people, but we believe that it still won't work either. Why? Because we believe that as long as it is merit based, it will only and always favor the people who are privileged, ladies and gentlemen. What we mean by that, that as I said before, how it has a very limited quota. The people who are privileged has more money, right, ladies and gentlemen? They have more money, and thus they're able to do many things to get more merit. They're able to go into they're able to enter a private extra lesson for them to be able to succeed more on the task for them to get to the scholarship program. They're able to have more money to buy good books for them to be able to increase their education, and they may even be able to go to a top private school for them to be accepted to this program to go to a top university. We believe that this kind of thing is only contributing to the problem where the rich people are getting more rich and the poor people are getting more poor, ladies and gentlemen. Because if it stays this way, we believe that people with less financial ability will not be able to compete and will suffer more and more as long as this continues on, ladies and gentlemen. And if the opposition team were to say that there are people from the poor people who could become successful, such as an example of a son of a becha driver who was able to get cum laude, we believe that that is not valid response to this. Why? Because we believe that only happens because of two things, whether it's luck or birth lottery, where they are born with a high IQ coincidentally from the very beginning. And the chances of that is very, very small either way in the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. So if you take a look at the comparison of our team, the government case, and the opposition team, as in the government, we believe that this is a very, very good way to solve the ever-going problem in society right now, and that is a structural poverty, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that this is a very good way and, in fact, a very effective way, and it is, in fact, a government responsibility, unlike the opposition team where they're only putting on their benefit onto the merit. And with all that reasons, I am very proud to propose.